1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, my name's Denise Reilly. I just survived my first Eucharistic day at May 3rd, 2008 at St. Therese Church in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. And I want to thank St. Barnabas. He's my man. He got me through this. And remember, he's the son of encouragement. Implore his help for your Eucharistic day. Amen. Oh, it was truly a calling to have it. So I think that is the first thing. If there is the desire in your heart to have this Eucharistic day, then you don't even have to question any further where it has come from, because you know that Jesus has put that in there. And my whole discernment question came to me after my first opening of my first volume. I wanted to have a Eucharistic day. I knew I wanted to have it. It took 3 years before I got it, but I know that it was the Lord's timing, because if I had had it in the very beginning, who would have come? I was the first person in my parish, in my the Medjugorje prayer group that I was at, that knew about the volume. So to open up with a Eucharistic day would have been not the place to go first. The first place to start was with a prayer group. There were no prayer groups. So that was where we needed to start, was with a prayer group. And then that desire never died. And I just kept pursuing it, and through adoration, truly the Lord kept giving me the next step of what to do. How did we decide the agenda? Well, my favorite Eucharistic day that I ever went to was down in Dallas, Texas. That was my first one, which is a wonderful story, but that's the one that Eleanor Wetzel had. So I saved her program. And then my sister went to the Tinley Park program. And so I kept those two. I picked out really what I enjoyed most. And that was a very selfish way to do things, but I knew I liked Mass early in the morning, and I knew we were going to have a youth event, so that kind of fit our needs. And once again, with prayer, that really helped tie things down. Taking the two programs and finding out how that might work in our day, I went from there. And then, after I had it all figured out, I even typed it all up, made my own mock program, and then I submitted that to my pastor to see, you know, if he would like us to do something like that, and to give me some feedback. And after he looked at the program, I contacted the parish secretary and said, okay, now, what did he think about that? She said, oh yeah, he liked it, he liked it. And I said, okay, well, what suggestions? She goes, oh yeah, there's one thing. And I was like, oh no, what is this gonna be? You can't put exposition on the same line as Mass. Exposition has to be listed separately. I go, that was the only thing he said. So really, there's already a great template out there. You just have to pick out what's gonna work for your parish, what your, you know, what timeline you are, and go from there. So that's how we got our program schedule. Just taken from what has already been done. That's an interesting question. Because before I went to the small lay apostles retreat they had in October, probably a couple years ago, I had really wanted to have a Eucharistic day, but my husband said no. So I get this invitation to go to the retreat, and I'm like, why am I even going? I can't even give anything to this apostle. I mean, I've done all I can, but I felt like I had no right to be there, because my husband never said, no, you just can't do a Eucharistic day. So I go to the retreat and the message is loud and clear. I have to climb a mountain. And I was like, oh man, how am I going to climb my mountain if my husband is saying no? So I go to the airport, I sit down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my volumes out. And it came to me what I had to do. I had to ask my pastor to be the leader. The whole thing was my husband didn't want me to be the leader, and then I would get so exhausted and all that stuff. So I go, the answer that came to me, you ask your pastor to be the leader, ask Brenda, the parish secretary, to be the co-leader. I was so excited. I was going to have a Eucharistic day. I wasn't going to be the leader. I was just going to be the helper. So I go home, I tell my husband, I got it all figured out. I'm going to ask my pastor. Well, I learned from others that my pastor doesn't really like to be the leader. But I met with my pastor and I asked him, I told him my story of, he already kind of was with me on this whole process. And I said, I got it figured out. You can be the leader, Brenda can be the co-leader, and I'll just be the helper. And he goes, okay. And he knew, I learned through this whole process with the parish, that people will come to them and say, I want this, but what they don't want and what their experience is, people say, I want something, but they're not willing to put the work in on it. And I think in this case, my pastor knew that I had a passion and that I would see it through and that I was willing to do the work to get it, and that, you know, the priests have so much to do already. And I realized even with me taking on a big responsibility with this, his yes was crucial. Without it, nothing was going to get done. And his input on the day, even though from some people's eyes may seem secondary, it was primary. Without his support, if he said no, there would have been no Eucharistic day. So I think if you have an eager, hardworking lay apostle who's truly called by the Lord to have this day, I think the pastor hopefully will see that love and allow you to have it, as long as you're willing to put in the time. To ask somebody would I encourage them, if you have the desire put in there, of course I'm going to encourage you. And the best place to get your encouragement is from Direction for Our Times. The support I got from Direction for Our Times truly was my lifeline. And at no time did I feel like I was left alone in getting this day prepared. When I needed to, I was preparing my talk to give to the consul. I had help and to make sure I had the wording right and had all my information correct. Never did I feel when I called and needed support, there was always somebody. And if they didn't have the answer, they got somebody there. So yes, I would encourage them, because there's a lot of people willing to help you through Direction for Our Times. And once you are in that process, the lay apostles are so willing to step in. It's mainly if you just got somebody willing to take it on, everything else falls into place, because it's truly, as we know, the Lord's mission, and He wants to get it done, and He will. He'll get it done.
Any advice in particular that you'd give to someone? You know, like Direction seems to help them prepare.
Well, adoration, honestly. Any time I took a step, it was only after adoration. I truly felt that each step was done with confidence, because I felt so firm in what I was told I had to do next. It wasn't really any guesswork. And the funny thing is, if I would have written down the steps that I took, it would have made no sense whatsoever. But the Lord knew which way, in my case, made the most sense to get things done. And so maybe the way I did it wouldn't be the same way he would want someone else to do it. And truly, he will guide you and put those inspirations and that drive in your heart, and you'll know which way you're supposed to go. So it does take all the guesswork out of it.